I would like to thank the great hospitality from Dr. Minawa, Dr. Jimmy, and Ms. Zarina. They really take good care of all of us here. So I'd like to thank them for their great gesture. And today, I feel very grateful to be here to share some of the informations. Okay, I'm sharing from the company perspective. I'm not from the universities, so I hope I can bring some news insight to you. So today, the topic, I want to talk about the futures of scientific publishings. So what is the challenges and opportunities? I'm not going to talk about technologies today. We all know that technologies is evolving, and disrupting. I believe artificial intelligence. I was talking to this morning but what I'm going to share today is more what is the trend in the scholarly communication world. So there are a few things here. First, open access. Is open access a surprise to you? No, right? I guess everyone knows open access. So more than 50% of the publication today is already published in open access. So simply means that we have a lot of accessibility to the journal articles. So there's no surprise. Secondly, which is very adjacent to open access, when you think about when open access becomes more and more common, so what will happen? The most important thing is not accessibility anymore. It's about people start reviewing your paper, post-publication paper, and that actually have created a new movement called post-publication peer review. And this is important. Why post-publication peer review is important? Because science does not stop when it's published. Okay, when science published, you can see it as a subject for critics, a subject for comments for improvement. So, and it's even proven in the past that a lot of papers, even after they publish, even in Asia, they subject to a lot of backlinks, and eventually paper have to be completed. So, post-publication is not something that's new, but because of open access, they make you reach out to a wider audience. And the chances is that you need to defend your science almost every different party. So when you reach out to a wider audience, more likely you get more critics. So the metaphor is like this. So when you set up a product and use software, and beginning you don't have any user, no complaint, then you think your product is good. What if you increase the user 100 times of your product, you realize that people start using your product, they find a lot of bugs, and they start complaining. So this is where something publisher follows. So it means that people use your paper, and we make it more importantly for you to defend your science, and your level of research integrity is very high, and it's not just plagiarism, it's something more than that. So this is definitely the trend now. And plagiarism, pre-language summary also become very essential to the, because you want to improve your publication visibility. If nobody read your publication, you get no citation. No citation, no promotion, right? And no right. So maybe it also means that you must think of how do you want to disseminate your information in the future, especially from an institutional level perspective. So think of dissemination here. I'm not just talking about scoring, I'm talking about PR. newsletter, even interview. So it's something about a lot more complex. So become integrated dissemination strategy or integrated platform. Okay. Let's talk about open access. I guess everyone know that open access is a reverse model of the currently traditional publishing. So the articles is really access to public, and the authors still will pay the copyright of the articles, and you need to demonstrate your publication to the repository, such as PubMed, directory of open access services. There's different types of open access. Okay, there's a green open access where this you don't have to pay anything. You just have to submit your manuscript, publish on open access publishers. But sometimes it's subject to embargo. The second, like screeners, in this case, traditional publishing open access. Process. It's a secret process. So that means when you submit your manuscript to publishers, there's a secret communication, between the author and editors. Okay, and if you have a weak argument, the editors, they will reject. But because of the open access movement, the future will be the review will be more open. Okay, that means your paper will be subject for review openly. Anyone can post, comment, and make critiques to your paper. Okay, and you're going to focus more on the word, your publication word instead of publications, because what is method is your publication, your paper, and you can have a chance to defend your science, make improvement, republish the improvised version. So this likely will be the future trend of the scholarly informations. So what is post-publication peer review? So example, you have a paper, published with the open access publisher. So once you have published with the open access publisher, instantly show you a short video from this company, scienceopen.com. Scienceopen.com is a new open access, and open post publication review. Okay, I think the audio is not plugged in.
Public post-publication peer review. What does that mean? Basically, it means that Science Open is the fastest way to publish your paper. You can publish your work when you think it's ready, and everybody can cite it as soon as it's openly accessible. Both you and Science Open editors will now invite peers to publicly review your work. To maintain a maximum level of scientific quality, only authenticated scientists can submit a review or make comments under their full names. So reviewers will get credited for their work, and you will receive better feedback. And best of all, you can publish revised versions to further improve your work. We believe that the best guarantee for scientific quality is a fully transparent review process and the feedback of the whole scientific community. We make science open.
Okay, you guys can check out the website later. I think it's a free registration right now. Okay, you can go in. There's more than 31 million articles that you can look at. So what is post-publication peer review? So it's already mentioned. You have to be, able to post a review. You're able to access any review, make comments, and each review will be linked to the paper. And review can be authenticated at different levels: signed review, unsigned, or unauthenticated. So in order for review to be open, it has to be a post-publications. And as mentioned earlier, review and reception is a integrated process and has to be ongoing in order to improve the publication quality. And review do not decide or delay any publications. Okay, we all know that for the peer review process now is a secret process. I think likely this is going to be changed more, be more open review, and actually this is good. It helps you to improve the visibility of a paper. Okay. Topical bundling. One very interesting thing about post-publication is you can actually rebundle your topics, okay? Because science no longer just follow the publisher's taxonomy. So as you know that publisher taxonomy is very rigid. Usually they group by subject like chemistry, biology, mathematics, and so on. So at the tell a story. So in an open access environment, you can actually group things in a different taxonomy, and you can try to invite a wider audience come and look at your paper. Okay, and this whole thing help you to connect to the expert outside of your committees and give you the opportunity to create a new multidisciplinary subject. Okay, so this is likely to be future science. So the core ideas for Science Open is they use the power of the professional networks to evaluate the scientific results, and ultimately the objective is to improve the publication qualities. These are the principles of research integrity. Okay. Research integrity is all about trust, okay? And we all know that it takes time and effort to build up over time. Yet it can be ruined by any individual overnight. Most universities started by having plagiarism checker. So like having Turnitin. Do you know Turnitin? Which is a plagiarism tool used by a lot of universities in the Philippines now. But we must know that without proper education, policies and guidance based upon all these research policies, it's impossible to build up a high level of integrity in reflecting the research excellence of the universities. We all know about plagiarism, intentional or unintentional, and a lot of times plagiarism, is happened because of data manipulations, or picture manipulations. So even the university have very good policies and guidance, it's still risky for any individual researcher to step into plagiarism dilemmas unintentionally. So this is where tools like Turnitin can be very helpful, but we cannot just perceive Turnitin as a plagiarism checker. And it's important to know that these such tools are meant for originality check. So, for example, if you have a Turnitin, some university, in Malaysia, they set a percentage, like 20% or 30%. So if your paper is more than 20%, your paper will get rejected, right? But the question is, if you get a percentage, 'Focus on the implementations by ownership, behavior, challenges, and outcomes. So without all this focus, research integrity is almost impossible. And that will be difficult to survive in an open science environment. So next, I'm going to talk about plain language, okay? You must be wonder why you need to know about plain language. Is it important to researcher? And one thing I think you guys know that today, we no longer just talking among ourselves, right? We also need to talk to the industry people if we want to get funding from them, right? We need to talk to the policymaker, the government, to help us to implement some of the policy. And you must know that all these people, they are not scientists, right? They probably come from the business background and things like that. So if you use a simple language and communicate to them, they might not able to understand what is your research about. So before I go further, let's watch a video.
Five years ago, I experienced a bit of what it must have been like to be Alice in Wonderland. Penn State asked me, a communications teacher, to teach a communications class for engineering students. And I was scared, really scared of these students with their big brains and their big books and their big unfamiliar words. But as these conversations unfolded, I experienced what Alice must have when she went down that rabbit hole and saw that door to a whole new world. That's just how I felt as I had those conversations with the students. I was amazed at the ideas that they had, and I wanted others to experience this wonderland as well. And I believe the key to opening that door is great communication. We desperately need great communication from our scientists and engineers in order to change the world. Our scientists and engineers are the ones that are tackling our grandest challenges, from energy to environment to healthcare, among others. And if we don't know about it and understand it, then the work isn't done. And I believe it's our responsibility as non-scientists to have these interactions. But these great conversations can't occur if our scientists and engineers don't invite us in to see their wonderland. So scientists and engineers, please talk nerdy to us. I want to share a few keys on how you can do that to make sure that we can see that your science is sexy and that your engineering is engaging. First question to answer for us, so what? Tell us why your science is relevant to us. Don't just tell me that you study trabeculae, but tell me that you study trabeculae, which is the mesh-like structure of our bones, because it's important to understanding and treating osteoporosis. And when you're describing your science, beware of jargon. Jargon is a barrier to our understanding of your ideas. Sure, you can say spatial and temporal, but why not just say space and time, which is so much more accessible to us? And making your ideas accessible is not the same as dumbing it down. Instead, as Einstein said, make everything as simple as possible, but no simpler. You can clearly communicate your science without compromising the ideas. A few things to consider are having examples, stories, and analogies. Those are ways to engage and excite us about your content. And when presenting your work, drop the bullet points. Have you ever wondered why they're called bullet points? What do bullets do? Bullets kill, and they will kill your presentation. A slide like this is not only boring, but it relies too much on the language area of our brain and causes us to become overwhelmed. Instead, this example slide by Genevieve Brown is much more effective. It's showing that the special structure of trabeculae are so strong that they actually inspired the unique design of the Eiffel Tower. And the trick here is to use a single readable sentence that the audience can key into if they get a bit lost, and then provide visuals which appeal to our other senses and create a deeper sense of understanding of what's being described. So I think these are just a few keys that can help the rest of us to open that door and see the wonderland that is science and engineering. And because the engineers that I've worked with have taught me to become really in touch with my inner nerd, I want to summarize with an equation. Take your science, subtract your bullet points and your jargon, divide by relevance, meaning share what's relevant to the audience, and multiply it by the passion that you have for this incredible work that you're doing. And that is going to equal incredible interactions that are full of understanding. And so scientists and engineers, when you've solved this equation, by all means, talk nerdy to me.
Talk nerdy, right? Explain it. Explain your articles. There's one favorite question I always ask the PhD student. Do you ever explain your research to your parents, to your dad and mom? You know what most of them say? No. It's too difficult for them to understand, so just forget it. But think about it. If your own parents don't even understand what you're doing, do you think the people out there will understand about your research? So think about it. So I show you another statistics. This is a study on Nature. We all know Nature is a high impact factor journal, right? Q1 journal. So this data is extracted from Web of Science. Right. Look at 2017. Okay, maybe there's still like 70% article, no citation. But let's look at the last 4 years, 5 years back. In average, we can see there's still 30% of articles that publish in Nature have zero citation. Can you imagine that? So what this means even you publish with a high impact fertile journal does not guarantee you a citation. So what should we do? Are we going to sit down and wait for the citation to drop from the sky one day? If you don't get it in 1 or 2 years time, just forget it. It will never come. Okay? So to be a researcher, your KPI is what? You're going to get more citation, right? To get more citation, how to do it? The first step is you need people to know that you have such a great articles. You need to promote your articles because publishers don't promote your articles. Publishers only promote their journals. You, as an author, you have the right, even that you have successfully published with publisher, you need to promote your paper. So the next slide, I'm going to introduce you a very useful tool, and it's a free tool for research committees. that using plain language and social media to promote your individual articles to the wider audience out there.
Introduction to Kudos. Congratulations on getting your article or book published. But now, who's going to read and cite it? With over 1 million new publications being added to the literature every year, it's getting harder for authors to ensure their work is found and read. Kudos can help. Kudos is a free service for the research community. We provide you with tools to ensure that your publications are seen by your peers and well beyond, helping your work have impact all over the world, in your own discipline, but also in allied fields too. With Kudos, you can explain and share links to your publications, then sit back and watch your readership grow. Using Kudos is easy. There are just 3 simple steps. Step 1. Explain. Give your publication a short title and explain what it's about and why it is important. You can also add a more personal perspective and link related resources to your publication, such as videos, images, datasets, and blog entries, to show the broader context of your work. Kudos then makes these explanations of your work visible across the web, linking back to your publication to help more people find and understand your work. Step 2. Share. Now you're ready to share. With Kudos, you can post links to your publications by email, social media, academic networks, or on your blog or website. Now here's the exciting bit. Step 3. Measure. With Kudos, you can then see the impact of this on your publication metrics, such as views, downloads, citations, and alt metrics. More impact for your work, more Kudos for you. Get started now by registering at www.growkudos.com.
Okay, I would encourage everyone to set up this platform. Currently it's free for individual researcher. growkudos.com, and there's many video on the YouTube. You can search for it. So it's just explain that there's 3 simple steps here. Number 1, explain your article into plain language. Secondly, you share it out to the social media, share on your personal blog, university website. Number 3, measure. You're able to see the ometric. Do you know ometric? Ometric is it's the activities that you generated through online. Okay, so it's different from ResearchGate. You all know ResearchGate? Anyone use ResearchGate? Some of you use ResearchGate. ResearchGate is like a Facebook for researcher, right? You have a photo and a list of your publications, so it's like a Facebook thing. But Kudos is different. Kudos focus on promoting your paper. So when think about citation, when people cite you, it's because of your face or because of your paper? Does it mean that if I have a pretty face, I get more citations? No, right? So Kudos is focusing on promoting your paper. And ResearchGate is more for collaboration, I would say. It's a collaboration tool, okay? It's not really can promote your paper. So this is your, on the right, top, this is your abstract, okay? So what Kudos do is, they ask you to answer simple questions like, what is this about and why is it important and what is the perspective? A simple summary, right? And Kudos is working with a lot of publishers, and publishers like Kudos. Why? Why publishers like to work with Kudos? And some publishers, they even ask you to submit a plain language summary when you're submitting the manuscript to them. This is because publishers don't have time to read all our articles every day, So with a plain language summary, it helps them to, understand your paper, it expedites the reviewing process. So this is the up and coming things. You guys need to know it, okay? But to learn to use plain language and social media is not as easy as you think. It's a skill set the researcher need to learn and acquire, okay? And we do run workshop on that. Actually, there's a 4 process here. curate, enrich, engage, and analyze. So I'm giving you an example. On the left, this is a patterns, right? A patterns, original patterns before curation, and you curate it into a simple language, in your own language also can. So the next thing is you enrich your paper with a visual, like pictures. Better still, you have a video attached to it. So like looking at this video, I can guess what is exergaming even without reading the text. So basically, exergaming means combination of exercise and games, right? And after that, you're ready for engagement. You're ready to post the story on the website, on the social medias like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Okay. There's many ways you can tell a story on the website. It can be a fun facts, case study sharing, and it could be in news articles, or it can be in Q&A format, applications. And at the end of the day, what you really wanted to know, after I share all my things on the social media, I want to know the feedback. I want to know what other people think about my paper. Okay, so through the Google Analytics, we are able to see, who has cited, not cited, who has actually downloaded my paper, who has actually viewed it, who has actually reshared with other people, and who are them, where they come from. And this gives us the opportunity to identify our collaboration target as well. So this is important. You must think that citation take a long time to come, right? You publish a paper today, you wait for at least 1 year to get a citation, or 2 years. So the citation you're looking at is a historical paper, right? It's been published 2 or 3 years ago. But today, I want to know the instant feedback. I don't want to wait until 2 or 3 years, people tell me, oh, this thing doesn't work after 2 or 3 years. So through social media, to online engagement, you're able to get the instant feedback. Okay, so this helps you to improvise your science, and you will be able to publish a better paper. Okay, dissemination of research finding has been giving a lot of emphasis lately because there's a lot of critics saying that the education research does not able to have any impact for the policymakers. So every time when I see the government agency, they will ask, so what is the impact of how do you prove to me if I fund your project, what a benefit, what is the things that you give it back to the society? How do you prove that besides citations, using citations? Okay, so this is what the government concern. You must able to prove the impact of your paper, and likely that the future of science dissemination will be very targeted and to science communities, to politics, and even to funders and policymakers. So this we are talking about transdisciplinary research right now. Okay, so we need to reach out to different parties, so not just among our scientific communities. So, and we also know that in UK, the government, how they fund the university now, they no longer just based on citation performance. They fund the universities, they will ask you to provide a case study to define the social impact of your research work before they can fund you. Okay, and there's been researcher, you need to reach out to more public to create awareness of your research. So Hong Kong is going to adopting this policy next year. I believe in the near future, more and more Asian countries will follow this kind of policy. So this is coming. Okay, so when your research work become a plain language, you are no longer just talking about story anymore. Okay, we are actually talking about how to market your knowledge, and which require you to identify different persona. So it could be a scientist, institutional, general public, or decision maker. So dissemination of research content will begin from multi-channel and evolving to omni-channels over time. So typically, research institutions need to reach out to targets like research communities, general publics, and research support communities. And also, as elaborated in this slide, there are different tools, media, ranging from scientific articles to documentaries social media, and etc., are meant to engage with different persona. So, for example, social media is currently used in reaching out to both general publics and research communities. So, it's not so common for research support communities. So, this means research will be more like a retail and consumer market. Okay, from multi-channel needs over time it will be integrated to uh, marketing and gradually evolving into omni-channels in differentiating the uniqueness of every universities. So at the end of the day, universities and research institutions, they need to be differentiate, able to differentiate and to serve the increasingly diverse demand for the talents out there. So this comes to the end of my paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jennifer Young. May I remind our fellow researchers that after consultation with our guest speakers, we will be accommodating your inquiries or questions after both of them have presented their papers. Um, Now, let's proceed to our next speaker. She is currently a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy at the Philippine Studies Tri-College Program of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. These colleges are the following: Asian Center, the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, and College of Arts and Letters. She obtained her bachelor's degree in fine arts, majored in visual communication in 1993 at the same university, the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Currently, she is the associate dean and assistant professor of the new media cluster at De La Salle College of St. Benilde School of Design and Arts. She teaches Philippine art and design history, history of design and arts, aesthetics for design majors, Philippine visual art forms, Philippine culture and society, multimedia and society, anthropology, workshop in the visual arts management, and she is also the teacher, thesis advisor in multimedia arts program and the arts management program. She was also the chairperson for the Design Foundation program from 2007 to 2011. She taught at the College of Arts and Letters at the University of the Philippines, Diliman between 1995 and 2003. Some of the subjects she taught were humanities, art history, human image in the arts, Philippine art and society, and Philippine traditional arts. She was also the recipient of the U.S. Department of State National Endowment for the Arts at American University in Washington, D.C. in 2009. She has done numerous projects in the art field in cooperation with several institutions and presented her research papers in national and international conferences. Uh, it would it could probably take me the whole day to enumerate all of her achievements, so I will just highlight several of those achievements. Okay, her projects include the ASEAN Cultural Mapping and Research Study under the Asia-Europe Foundation. Phase 1 was in 2016, and, uh, and Phase 2 is currently this year. And then the Gawad sa Manlilikha ng Bayan, Gamaba, or the National Living Treasures Award under the National Commission for Culture and the Arts in 2016, where she served as ad hoc panel member and researcher. The Panahi Visayan Contemporary Textile Art at the Museo de la Salle Bacolod in 2016, where she was the speaker and workshop facilitator. And the Multimedia Arts Program and Coca-Cola Happiness Project, among others. She has presented her research papers and posters in the following international conference: the 9th International Conference on Catholic Social Thought and Business Education at Ateneo de Manila University in 2015, the 9th International Conference on Philippine Studies at Michigan State University in 2012. So lastly, she has also served as conference moderator in international conferences, which include the Philippine Society for Public Administration, International Conference, and the ASEAN China Forum on the Plight of Traditional Weavers. Fellow researchers, I present to you Ms. Maria Sharon Mapa Areola.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Fellow researchers, academicians, and administrators, faculty members. Wow, this is a great pool of people gathered here in Catanduanes State University, and I'm very honored to be part of this event. Um, Thank you, Joalie, for the introduction. Nakapangliliit. Parang di ako yun. um, I'm just continuously trying to learn a lot of stuff, probably. That's why I was able to go to different areas and places. And I've been introduced to a lot of ideas. Probably that's one of the reasons why I was able to got hold of this interest in the interdisciplinary field of research. Somebody, most of you must be wondering why I'm working on a social science and humanities research while I'm holding a position as Associate Dean for the New Media Cluster in the School of Design and Arts. Doesn't make any sense. I'm working in the field of new media, like multimedia, photography, animation, and film. At the same time, my research interest is not so much directly related to the work that I have in Manila. This is my PhD dissertation. It's not done yet. I'm still working on it. And my interest towards understanding different areas and different disciplines must have taken its roots in the university. In the field where I am right now as a dean in the new media, I'm also trying to make it interdisciplinary. Like what we're doing right now, the augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, we're trying to merge that in different fields as well. So in a way, it's not something that is totally off tangent to the topic that I will be presenting. So I entitled my presentation as an interdisciplinary approach in building a discourse on religion and development. It's still a discourse. It's still being discussed and talked about. It's not something as fixed and something that is established compared to your fields, like in the fields of natural sciences and social sciences. This is new. That's why it's still being grappled and explored by a lot of researchers and academicians. These based from the presentation of Jennifer a while ago, my presentation right now is a failure. It's so filled with jargon, and the text is so heavy. So when I was listening to you, Jennifer, I was thinking in the back of my mind, oh no, I need to revise it right away, but I don't think I have enough time. So I just probably wing it and explain to you in detail. And I even prepared a 20-page presentation, not slides, but I was about to read. But hearing Jennifer a while ago, I just strapped the paper and put it in my bag, and probably just click each slide and
have fun. And it's Saturday, and most of us here would be anticipating that trip later. So I'll just make it as simple and not not dumb. How do you term that? Um, it is simple, and yet I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible, not dumb it down. Well, just to get to read to you the abstract, this is just a summary of the entire topic. Religious beliefs can shape values about key development concerns, such as poverty and inequality. Regarded as either an obstacle or solution to development and improvement, religious beliefs and practices affect economic growth through its impact on human capital development. The study utilizes interdisciplinary approach in identifying the roles of a belief system to individuals and community. The integration of various disciplines such as anthropology, history, development studies, and cultural studies offers possible insights and explanations as they interrogate and explore the meanings and significance of religion in the development of one's life. So, aside from teaching our new media and multimedia, I'm also interested in religion and development. I'd like to quote, this is my favorite quote by Amartya Sen. I'd like to start the entire detail of my presentation with this quote. Economic growth cannot be sensitively treated as an end in itself. Development has to be more concerned with enhancing the lives we live and the freedom we enjoy. Poverty cannot be measured by income or utility. What matters is not what a person has, but what a person is or can do. So that's basically the intention of my research and my study. To understand social science, behavior, practices, and something that's close to us, close to our hearts, our beliefs and practices, on how to, at the same time, how does that make sense in making our lives better? So, Amartya Sen, by the way, before we begin with the details, he's a recipient of a Nobel Prize for economics in 1998. And his extensive research has brought a lot of ideas and also influenced a lot of economists and researchers in the field. And some of them even gained, and even earned Nobel Prize for that. Being is a construct. It is something that is defined and gathered and identified during our formative years, perhaps, by the institutions that have influenced our lives. Institutions shape and influence the perceptions of these beliefs and attitudes. And one of such institutions is religion. That has significantly contributed to the concept of well-being and one's belief towards the self and environment. So the questions that I've been trying to grapple, even at this point, and the study would try to understand, are these. How do people understand and experience religion? How does this understanding of religion affect their everyday life? How do religious beliefs and practices affect people's attitudes, behavior, and dispositions towards economic growth and development? May or cannot be answered by one discipline alone. It may take methods and approaches and even theories for such questions to be addressed. So these are the rationale. These points, the bullet points, the killer bullet points, speak about my rationale for using interdisciplinary approach. There are certain problems that are complex, certain questions that are complex and difficult to address. Important insights are offered by two or more disciplines. because there's no single discipline that is able to address the problem comprehensively. And there are also unresolved social needs and issues. I don't want to cite anymore what's going on in other parts of the country that have very much influenced by religion in terms of conflicts and areas of contestations. So I've come up with this conceptual framework, having the concept of religion and development as the center of the study. And then there are three various disciplines that can overlap with one another, at the same time serve as the anchor points in problem or the problems presented, such as in social sciences and cultural science and cultural studies. They can overlap definitely because they're using somewhat similar theories, and the proponents are cited. And my takeoff point in the study of social science and cultural studies is the language. And the other side of the spectrum is the development studies, wherein the theory of path dependence is anchored with history, which belongs to social science. At the same time, anthropological approach is also subsumed or can be overlapped with history. Just to summarize what I've written there so far in the conceptual framework, these are the disciplines I've chosen for the study and their insights. What kind of contributions or what contributions can they offer? With development studies, it offers an analysis of the economic and social progress or growth, allocation of resources, productivity, concerns with improvement of one's life and well-being. And I chose path dependency as my theory and institutional as well as the framework of the study. For anthropology, it tries to explain cultural and religious practices and the culture of religiosity following the method of using local language knowledge, patterns of behavior seen in the religious practices, utilizing field research as a method, and following the theories of symbolic and interpretive. For the history, it traces the impact of religion and institutions and patterns of growth through archival research, as it tries to investigate institutions that upheld rules and how they affect people's lives. And for the last is cultural studies. I put it in the last because it somewhat subsumes everything. It connects and serves as the common thread to the three other disciplines above. It talks about the practices, the institutions and systems of classification as they shape values, beliefs, and conduct. And taking off from the social-cultural aspects of local languages, translation, and identity. I have to apologize to the rest of the audience here because when I was reading the program of this event, most of the researches, most of the topics covered there are in the field of natural sciences, education, marketing, and accountancy, and only a bit of a handful that I noticed some elements of social science and humanities. This may not be relevant to you, but what I'm trying to offer here is the interdisciplinary approach, the different disciplines that can be used to address your concerns, your problems, and your research interests. And this is possible, although radical at first, and even up to now, a lot of people are still raising their eyebrows by looking at the title and reading the abstract. They always say, it's too ambitious. It's too broad. Why don't you narrow it down? I understand, the value and the significance of making it narrow and focused, but some of the areas there may not be covered. I'm not saying it's the best, but it offers a possibility, perhaps, of engaging other disciplines in our study. Now, going back, I'll just go through the slides because if I I discuss in detail what I'm going to listen there, and what I'm going to present there, you'll doze off. You know, it's not going to be a healthy morning session. So I'll just run it through and we'll see which particular part there is interesting. So this is the definition of development studies as discussed earlier. So what does it cover? What does development studies cover and has interest into? So there are three core values of development according to Todaro and Smith. It's sustenance, self-esteem, and freedom from servitude. I think sustenance is self-explanatory. I mean, we all have this concern every day to be able to meet our basic needs, right? So it's something that is so natural for us as we wake up and even before we sleep. We look at how the day went. Has it served our needs? Second is self-esteem. To be able to, maximize our potential. And the third is very important because it talks about our ideal, that is freedom from servitude, to be able to choose, to be able to have the choice, whether the topic interests you or whether the topic is just imposed by the institutions. It's something that would make everything understandable. Okay. Sorry about that. That's the slide I was trying to discuss. Development covers not only to the wide distribution of benefits of economic growth, access to assets, livelihood, and services, and to the physical and material security. But again, I always emphasize this, it's the human development. It deals with an idea that aims to provide people with enabling environment and improved well-being. At the same time, create societies that harness individuals' rights and opportunity. Development pertains to the process of improving the quality of all human lives and capabilities by raising people's levels of living, self-esteem, and freedom, as I discussed earlier. Again, going back to Amartya Sen, it's the freedom of choice or control of one's own life. It's the central aspect of well-being. And it's the matter of finding out our functioning, so being able to take part in the life of the community and having self-respect. So what does this got to do with religion? Our concept of human development, this is very basic and classic in the literature of development. In decrease in poverty, literacy, infant mortality, and life expectancy, and income inequality. So, again, if we have that in our minds, those important aspects in our lives, what's the problem? How come there are still areas in the country that are not experiencing development? There's a theory that I wanted to include in the study. This is by Douglas North. It's in the institutional theory and path dependency. This is anchored again in history. That's when the interdisciplinary comes in. We have theories in path dependency. We have theories in development trying to explain how things should work and how to empower people. At the same time, there are areas, not just in the country but also elsewhere, that are still impoverished. So through history, through other aspects, other disciplines, that can probably be answered. Because according to North, it says there on the second box, although institutions can create an environment that fosters cooperative solutions, they can also induce stagnation and decline. So what are those institutions that can induce stagnation and decline? If you're going to use history and take a look at different institutions of the past years and even during colonial times, that can probably explain. So I will skip that part. So they create self-imposed codes of behavior that can possibly constrain the abilities of individuals. The manner in which information and knowledge are disseminated can create a major impact on the way institutions evolve therefore can be considered as a source of path dependence. It somewhat summarizes the explanation why path dependence is used in my study. And I'll probably skip some others and just go to the ones that are relevant. Since the institutional framework privileges the personalistic relationships, it can stunt the potential and abilities of others. North emphasizes the reason why third world countries are considered poor, not because of post-colonial dependency on the West, but because the institutional constraints define a set of payoffs to political and economic activity that do not encourage productive activity. So, again, that one is a sign. There are approaches in development studies that try to help certain communities. But again, as I mentioned earlier, there are still areas that are still in that state. So in anthropology, one of the behaviors and practices that are so closely linked to institution is religion. And in anthropology, that can probably be explained how such practices can influence certain behaviors. So I came up with this. I considered different theories and focusing now on symbolic and interpretive anthropological theories. Again, using different approaches that can be explained. And in anthropology, I anchored on language this time. Oh, there. I think that the presentations will be shared. So you can go through them and just email me certain questions that you think are pertinent. To understand the symbols, going to bullet number 3, cultures are not to be treated as languages, are to be treated rather as languages, wherein religious symbols, whether they're tangible or intangible, are interpreted. And for the history, as I mentioned, it traces the impact of religion, institutions, and patterns of growth and rules. I'm studying right now the Bicol region, the impact of religion in Bicol, and the current state of its economy. According to the literature, the entire region follows similar historical developments found in other regions of the Philippines, according to churches. It had not developed a widespread distrust against the Spaniards. So there was really a great success of Catholicism in the region during the period from 1600 to 1850, because it was due to a strategic approach used by the Franciscan friars, employing gentle persuasion, plus the noble image of the church projected to the locals, which was well received, for it led the people to preserve their quote-unquote unwavering submission. So again, religion is very much strong in the area and mentioned in the path dependency. It has its great impact on the decision-making of individuals. So history is used extensively here. And I won't read that anymore because it's going to make people doze off. So these are some of the materials and literature that was culled by our researchers in the field. And for the cultural studies, now connect the threads, connect the different insights from development studies, anthro, history, languages, and then cultural studies will try to explain that because it covers a body of theory that interrogates the production of theoretical knowledge as a political practice. So the discipline is concerned with all those practices, institutions, and systems of classifications, which are inculcated in the values, needs of everyday life. Okay, too much text. As I learned earlier, it doesn't work. So I'll just show you some of the photos. Okay. Okay. Cultural studies seeks to explore connections between these forms of power and to develop ways of thinking about culture and power that can be utilized by agents in the pursuit of change. Jargon, I'm sorry, jargon, red flag. Agents, I refer to people, to stakeholders. So to integrate the disciplines I mentioned, I came up with this. There are three levels in understanding the disciplines from personal, from a small circle going outwards, from personal to social to institutional. So what does religion mean to everyone? What religion means to individuals, how it informs their view, motivation, and actions. And how does that translate in the social realm? How religion interact with social and political processes. And in a bigger scale, in a bigger perspective for the institutional, the nature and aims and activities of institutions that define the systems and rules. And then in the bottom here, the bottom portion here would define the different beliefs and practices, the language used by the culture, and the knowledge that we gain from it from the institutions. So definitely, I won't deny, there are still tensions, although there are synergies that can be derived from the practice. But synergies and tensions between religion and functioning system of development still exist. The positive and negative implications of religion to development have to be explored and examined by considering the propositions and explanations from the perspectives of various disciplines. Religious beliefs have concerns about morals, social ethics, and social order that challenge development paradigms. There is a need for development agencies to understand the controversial and complex links between religion, policies, among others, and how it impacted society. So it can be considered as an obstacle. Other disciplines such as Marxist, I'm sorry, theories and ways of thinking would see as religion as an obstacle for growth, but others consider otherwise. It can offer solution, for it presents various reactions and ways regarding development debates and policies. There is an uneasy relationship between development and faith because a lot of religious values may act against the interest of development process. Religion may offer solutions to the conventional frameworks. So how do we make sense now of the discipline? This is probably the summary of the entire intention of the paper. Religion can contribute and offer solutions to debates on the established development frameworks. It can serve as an instrument for the strengthening of ethics and morals of individuals and society, which is very important for everyone. Become functional members of society. Religion can be used as well to mobilize people to participate for social, political, economic, and cultural change, such as what's happening right now in the country, especially the current administration. I think that's it. No, to give you a some sort of um, an idea about how this particular approach can benefit your respective fields in the field of natural sciences, in the field of climate and environment protection, among others, even education and business and accountancy. Perhaps when we encounter certain problems in our research, we may consider taking a look at other disciplines. Perhaps they can offer a different perspective, different language, different tools, different methodology. If we get stuck somehow, no, you can't deny the fact that through our research processes, there are times when we feel we get stuck. Like, how come it doesn't seem to work anymore? How come it doesn't make any sense anymore? Perhaps we can take a look at other disciplines and they can offer solutions and perspectives. Not necessarily the end all and be all, the final answer, but an approach, a different perspective to make the study more holistic, more relevant to other communities and to the country. As mentioned earlier by Jennifer Wong, our presenter, regarding research, it has to be as impactful as possible. For it to be cited, to be relevant to different people, not just to our little kingdoms, little fields of interest. It has to serve its purpose. It must be practical and useful and meaningful to a lot of people, to the community, because that's the reason why we're here. We're here in the academia, we're here in, in research for us to better our lives, to further our lives. And going back to the reason why I opted to take this
We let's start. Yes.
Morning. My question is addressed to Miss Jennifer. By the way, thank you for the very interesting presentation. The novel trends when it comes to publishing. My question is actually on the issue of what some people call as predatory journals and publishers. So my question is, do you agree with such a label for some of these journals? And second, may I know what are the prospects for these so-called predatory journals and publishers?
Okay. Um, Thank you for your questions. And I think if I don't get you wrong, you're asking about what is the difference between predatory publishers and traditional publishers. You're asking how do we identify the predatory publishers?
I mean, do you agree with such a label, publishers and journals, for prospect for these journals as well, in the future?
Okay, first of all, I think we, on the first day, we talk about predatory journals in the forums. And we all know that this is, we should avoid come to them. Probably some of you also, um, and there used to be a list on the website. I think Dr. Ziha has mentioned that, but this list has been taken out a few months ago. So there's still no clear policy. There's no some researcher they try to compound the listing of predatory journals, and you just need to be careful. Okay, and the reason why we do not want to submit predatory journal because they do not have quality control, right? They just want to take your paper. Uh, they just want to make use of it for commercial purpose. So there's no peer review, and we're not able, to ensure the quality of the paper. So uh, one guidance is you should always publish with ISI index or even Scopus index journal, or you can even look at before you submitting your manuscript to publisher. You can go through like Simago. Simago is a free website, also listing of all the publishers, and even Google Scholar. All right, do some research before you send in your publication. I mean your papers. Yep.
Morning. The issue on predatory journals is really very, very problematic in the Philippines. See, Dr. Bill, the author or the one who's responsible for listing the different journals, all parts of the world, to be predatory, was actually bombarded with a lot of criticisms because he did not base this on a certain set of criteria. He's just a professor of a U.S. In the U.S. University of the U.S. and he promised already that he will stop listing this. And the reason why we consider this symposium is that we would like to be promoted so fast. We want to publish it also quickly. And then there are predatory journals in India and the Philippines. In fact, even the journal which I published, the Asia Life Journal of Sciences in Jubilos Baños, was listed there, and it was actually or was removed because there are certain reasons. Like number one, they ask a lot of payments or fees, 3,000 US dollars. But Elsevier Journal asked us to pay 3,500 journals, even to 5,000 US dollars. So this is not affordable among us. So do you think if it's Thomson Reuters or Elsevier or shall I say be able to come up with certain ways or means, or in the Philippines, policies can be, but this is a private enterprise and these are scrupulous editors who would like to publish it and they charge something else. In my university right now, we listed that as a policy. If you publish an article in predatory journal, you will never be given the 30,000 pesos. We are only giving you 2,000 or 1,000 pesos. Do you think your institution, your your group right now in Kuala Lumpur will be able to look on certain ways by which we could be assisted in trying to come up with rather not so difficult to publish, but with quality indeed. Okay, did you get what I mean? What I mean is there really a way by which we can avoid or prevent these journals to publish this? In fact, very good papers are published, but these were not evaluated or edited properly. Ms. Sharon may answer also if you have experience from De La Salle University's system. Thank you.
In my college of St. Benilde, we're also aware of that. So our research department has uh, came up with a list of journals that are considered valid. And same thing also that the ones that are only identified and validated by the college can only be given a grant of such and such amount. I won't mention it anymore. But for those publications that do not belong in the list, can also be given, but also in the minimal. Clearly encouraged to be mindful and conscious about different journals and different uh, publications, because it's not just a matter of having a published work. It's a matter of getting reputable works in a reputable publications. So they have a list, and our top management, also in the academics, um, can see, and they have access to that, and they also check the works of our faculty members and where they are published.
Yeah, I do agree with Dr. Sharon. So I believe each university, even Malaysia, they do maintain some kind of like guideline, a list of publishers they want the students or professor to publish. So um, there's no, I mean, definite way they can stop that. But as I advise later, you should check against like Scopus or Web of Science, Google Scholars, Simango, or even open access like DOAJ, to check on the publisher background. If you have any doubts on these publishers, so you should do a checking and before you submit your manuscripts. If they have unreasonable requirements, like normally reviews take a few months, right? Could be up to a year. If they promise that you can publish your paper in like 1 week time, then this is preferred, right? Definitely. And not all publisher request you to pay a lot. Some like open access, like they don't even require a fee from you. So you should think about it. If your budget constraint, you should go for those open access publishers, non-commercial. I'm talking about the society publishers like Biomed Central, and there's a lot more out there. Even like Science Open just now, they also are open publishing publishers, and they probably charge a very small fee for you to publish. This is another publisher that I know is called Hindawi. It's also a small open access publisher. They don't charge a lot. So actually, there's a lot of option out there, okay, for open access. If you can't really submit it to the commercial publisher, okay. But fundamentally, I would advise that you guys have to improve your research quality, okay. There's no shortcut in research. I always being asked by question from my Malaysia customer, how can I improve my citation by certain number in 1 year? I say that's impossible. I cannot guarantee you have citation. I cannot guarantee you will have a baby girl or baby boy at the end of the day. There's no guarantee, right? Citation, there's no guarantee. You still have to look at the fundamental. That's why we preach a lot about what is research best practice, what is the right thing you need to do from the beginning of the first day of research. And for the younger researcher student, they need a lot of guidance. So if we do it right from the first day, and you will have sales in the future. I hope I have answered Dr. Jimmy's questions. Yeah.
I am Mr. Serapion Danduyan from Cebu Technological University. I would like to address my question to Ma'am Sharon. Now, we all know that the Philippines is the only Christian republic, republic in the Far East, and we also know that there are so many religions that proliferate in our country. Now, I just would like to ask whether you have conducted or have data on the perception or ideas of the different religions about human development, island biodiversity conservation, and resource management. Thank you, ma'am.
I just focus on Catholic religion as my focus of study because I'm comfortable in that because that's my religion, and I also chose a site, a location where I'm also very familiar, which is the Bicol region. But yes, definitely there are numerous literature that talk about different religions, not just in the country but elsewhere. Not so much compared to Catholic, perhaps because we're predominant, the country is predominantly Catholics. But if you study other literature from different countries, there are more on Muslim and Hindu. And there's this Center for Religion and Development in Birmingham University in UK. It's an institution that deals primarily with the study of religion and development in different areas of the world. And when I check their website and when I check their literature, most of the researches rather, are done in Africa and in South Asia. Very little on Catholic and Christian religion. Now, for me, it's very relevant to go into that study because of the current happenings now in the world, not just in the country, like in Syria, in Northern Africa, and so on, and even in India and other parts of South Asia. Definitely, the impact of religion in one's attitude and behavior in the workplace, if you are in the human resource perhaps, or some discipline related to that, should be addressed or should be tackled. So it's still new. The discipline, even the interest on religion and development is still new. In fact, it's not so popular in our country. But in other parts of the globe, specifically in UK, it's very much talked about. So perhaps we can contribute and come up with our own studies. Did I answer your question? I hope.
Good morning.
Uh, my question is very basic, and I think other members in the audience can also say something about it. It's not primarily directed just to the speakers this morning. I, I just I just want to have some feelings about it. Um, what do you think is tolerable or acceptable in terms of the time, in terms of the period of waiting for reviews of papers submitted? Because there are publications, there are publications that you have, even if your paper is good, you personally feel it's good. It's not easy to write papers. It's not. I mean, it's very tedious, very time consuming. Some you have to wait like 6 months or 8 months. I don't think so. That is acceptable. Or for me, that's not tolerable. I probably can wait for 3 months. But beyond 3 months, I then follow up and say, if there's no response to it, I'll pull out my paper and consider other journals. Okay. I mean, personally, my feeling is I only have to wait 3 months. That's it. And I encourage everyone, if you want to publish, you write as many papers as you can, then send them out. And then wait for 3 months. Hopefully within 3 months, one should be coming back. Then you do the revision. Surely there will be revisions. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Francia, you raised a very good questions. We are still debating ourselves here. What is a tolerable period? Actually, there's no answer here because different publishers they have different policies. It's all spelled in their website. Okay, so if you go to IEEE, you look at the submission guideline. They will tell you how long it will take to review a paper. So when you're submitting your manuscript to a publisher, you need to look at many factors, right? As you on the first day, the author talking about the relevancy. You also look at whether this publisher, this journal is a local journal or international, so the visibility factor. And third is probably the how long is the reviewing process, things like that. And are there high impact factor, low impact factor? So we know that, if we submit to a high impact factor, the chance of being rejected is very high, unless you have very good quality paper. So it's not necessary you have to, every time you need to submit to the high impact factor journal. You should go for lower tier, things like that. So for the reviewing period, is actually there's can be range from the fastest to be 2-3 months to a year. I just heard from Dr. Reyes says 2 years.
In my experience, because I was in Hiroshima University and my professors um, uh, decided that I should submit a paper in the Japanese journal, the Society of Japan Science Teachers. It took me about 2 years for the peer review, but eventually, when it was almost 2 years, my professors and I decided to withdraw our papers, and we asked the journal what happened, and their reason was since my our paper is about the use of mother language in the Philippine setting, it's difficult for them to find reviewers that are expert in our field. So, and then many other factors, because most of the reviewers are faculty members of the Japanese university. So it could be, it depends on the situation for the journal.
But personally, to be blunt about it, I have a paper sent back to me after a year or after 2 years that speaks of the kind of editorial, of the quality of editorial board they have. That means that they don't have people who can help them as peer reviewers. And I think that should be one consideration, one major consideration when you're sending out your paper. I mean, why do you have to wait for a year? It takes years. It takes years to generate data for research. Why do you have to wait? Please, for example, I mean personally, since I'm not teaching anymore, I do research. From January to April, I was able to write 8 papers. But in May, I started getting, I just waited 3 months, or at most 3.5 months, which is reasonable. That's reasonable. Even 6 months is again too long, too long. And I started looking back and started to review. So one came back, eventually got published, and then the others in Dali proofs. So my advice really to those who are submitting papers, you have to at least know the background of the journal, because if you send it to a journal that keeps waiting for more than a year, that's unfair. They might just tell us, well, we cannot find we cannot find people, experts in your area. Would you want to reconsider other journals? I think that's being fair.
All right, I understand some of your frustrations. So it's all very much depend on publishers, and I think all of you should keep the option open. So when you're submitting your articles, not just to one, you try to submit to a few publisher. And before that, you should check on whether this publisher that you submit is relevant. They have the expertise of uh, in reviewing the topic that they are talking. So it makes more sense. And another thing is I was talking about open access and open review. So if you want a fastest result or want to more feedback, I would advise you try out the open access as a start. Okay. To try out the response, things like that. So it also helps you to improvise your paper before you submit it to the publishers later. Okay. So probably this is one of the options you can look at if you think it take too long time to submit to a publishers.
Um, well, I agree with her. I know some of you won't agree with me, but this is a personal opinion. It may not represent the school where I come from, but personally, I believe that we shouldn't get too much stock on that requirement. I know it's part of our promotion, but then again, if our intention is really to share our knowledge and have it useful, open access for me is very, I mean, it's not so much compelled to certain degree and period of review from certain reputable publications and editorial board. If you have open access, as mentioned by Jennifer earlier, the review is wider. The participants, the viewers, the experts, yes, they are also monitored and assessed by the website. But then again, it speeds up the process and it makes it accessible to a lot of people, not just those who are concerned in your field, but also since it's an open access in the website, anyone who's in the field of, let's say, for instance, you're into microbiology, and then there's this designer who wants to study certain composition so that you could take a look at the patterns that can be used in the artwork. But siya pumasok doon, he or she can access there. So it democratizes the whole process. It doesn't restrict individuals anymore to understand and to know and access knowledge. Because right now we discuss AI, everything now is, well, not everything, but we're going there. Machine learning. We have to be more conscious about that because 5, 6, 10 years from now, it's going to be AI and machine learning. More than the one that we are studying and researching, we have to anticipate also the trends.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Claveria, for dealing with respect yesterday. Okay, my question is posed to Ma'am Sharon. I am Dr. Meda, your colleague in the Biome 2012. Okay, our topic on dissertation is quite complicated, but now I appreciate you because it is the trend that is the issue for today. Now, I'm actually having you, but this is my reaction. Religion may influence our life, values, norms, but it depends on the person because it is the heart that must change. So in the year 2001, I have been an employee of Creative Lines Incorporated in Apello Fruit Street, Pasay City. And the president of our company is a born-again Christian. Every in the morning, have our morning praise. And since I am an employee of that company, I was forced to obey what is in the rule. So my question, Ma'am Sharon, have you not encountered believers who does not agree with the different rights of religious sects? For example, born again, yung mga belong to Iglesia ni Cristo or different religious sects. Have you not found difficulty in convincing them to own personal views?
I'm not quite sure if I was able to grasp the entire question. Asking about what about other religious beliefs and how do they make sense to
It is like this, Mom. Because what I have said is that we may be influenced by religion because their actions are towards the Catholic religion. For example, in my own family, I have two sisters who have already yung mga born again, they call themselves Christians. And covered all the images in our home and everything that represents our religion because we belong to the Roman Catholic, they throw them away. So I reacted differently to these actions. So since your dissertation concerns religion, what advice could you give these people who also act toward religion?
my study focuses on the practices and beliefs of a certain religion and how do they affect the uh, the well-being of individuals. So what I'm trying to derive at in the study is for us to have a discourse on religion in a rational way, using logic and reason more than emotions and assumptions. So I think that's the contribution I want to to give to the academic field. Instead of having this kind of attitude when we discuss religion, take a look at it in a rational, logical way. I'm trying to devoid personal opinions regarding other religions because it has to be objective and empirical when I come up with conclusions. And it won't even encompass the entire religious system. It will only explain a certain portion. That's why it's difficult to come up with a prescriptive discussion and statement. Because again, what I'm trying to provide here in the study, the intention here is to, when we discuss religion, when we deal with religious discussions, in the level of Philippine studies, in the discipline of Philippine studies, I would like to contribute on providing a scientific, rational, logical approach in delving with the problem. So I may not be able to answer your question directly because I can't give advice. It's more of what approach, what tool, what lens could I use in order for me to explain further certain practices, certain beliefs, even attitudes, even the disagreement to other religions. Instead of coming up with something that's intangible, what I'm going to present here is a method, a tool, a lens, no, even language, in order for us to discuss religion and other aspects of practice that may seem taboo to discuss, no, something that we try to avoid. But using this certain approach and language and tools, perhaps we can cross these boundaries.
Okay. I think we don't have time for any other queries, but if you have other queries, you may approach the speakers after the session, and you can discuss. Yes, they can accommodate your questions. Anyway, um, now we're going to award a plaque and certificate of plaque and certificate of recognition, and we would.
There was a hanging issue which was actually before our professor from the Natural Science Department in regard to the submission of papers or publication. And I think we're clear on that already. Because, for example, the CHED accredited journal, I will not mention the journal, recognized as A minus or B plus. We submitted 11 months ago, and there was a response, okay, we will do this, we'll do this. And the 11th month, 12th month, they said they cannot find, or the paper cannot be processed. Look at that. So Dr. Lirico Studio can also attest to that. There's a very big problem in the Philippines right now, that these journals which were accredited do not function well when they received already their recognition as a CHED recognized journal. If I mention PRISM, I submitted the paper January or February, and then they answered after a week, then finally after 3 months, and then another 11 months had passed, and then finally they said they cannot publish the paper. Actually conceptualized to look into these issues. While we are in the island province of Cotabato would like to publish it using internet or whatever, we are always at the losing side. Okay? So I think Dr. Eunice has something to say. If I may, please recognize with the chair there up there. Okay? Thank you.
I want to digress from the discussion a while ago. I'd like Dr. Jimmy, can I share some good news? Can I share some good news? In the area of business, and I do attend the yearly Academy of Management meeting. And the Academy of Management is the one that publishes the A journal, particularly AMJ. I don't know who are the business area people here. But the trend now in publication or citation or sharing of intellectual activities in the business sector is no longer geared towards publication per se. It is now about getting a grant for a real project. And the real project would be documented and that you would submit later on for publication for purposes of replication and adaptation in another context. Even the very cited authors in business, particularly Jay Barney, the one who taught us resource-based view in strategy management, said in 2014 in Philadelphia that it is no longer the way to do it. So I think the different universities, particularly in business, should take a look at how we rank faculty members in the Philippines. Because it's no longer citation. There are a lot of papers and they are kept in
filing cabinets. They are not workable, they are not relevant. So personally, as a researcher, I only submitted, I only got my confirmation as a graduate in February. But after, well, I'm done 2 years ago, but I don't have the money to fly back to Switzerland and present it to the public. But when they gave me my confirmation for the graduation in February, I already received a lot of letters telling me to spread the word about CSR and sustainability and about projects of students. And these are the ones that I think matters more for a business faculty. Not the citation, but the real work that we do. We teach entrepreneurship, but have we developed entrepreneurs? Have we developed real entrepreneurs? And if we did, we document it. I ask you to log into aimtoflourish.com. And you don't have to follow the standard of publication. You just have to tell stories and put them on video and submit to them. And the student projects go as far as the United Nations Assembly. I was there. 2 students from Indonesia got accepted. In the Philippines, I submitted Bambike. It didn't win, but it was in the video. It didn't win because it wasn't owned by a Filipino. Are you aware of the Bambike? But there are a lot of stories that we can tell in the entrepreneurship discipline. The bamboo made of bike. Apparently, though it's in Intramuros, it's not made by a Filipino. It was an American from Michigan who fell in love with the Philippines. But I'm sure there are stories to tell in our little areas. So in our group called ENEDA, we try to document the work of our students, and these are the work that can get a grant. Forget about publishing for a while because they are not going to uplift the lives of our society, of our students. We go where the action is, we document it, and that is the one we submit. My grant for the Schumacher Institute for 4 years, and I will be attending the conference in the US for 4 years free of charge. I'm a living example. It does happen. You don't have to publish in this AMJ, in these journals. All you have to do is to seriously do your work as a business educator, document what you do with your students, and apply for all of these grants. And there are a lot of them on the internet. Let your fingers do the walking. And if you don't get promoted because you don't have a citation, if you will go to the United Nations General Assembly, I don't think there's anything that will top that. Thank you and good morning.
Okay, let's proceed.
Uh, just an add-on. I just want to qualify that if you expect your paper, the review of your paper to be back after 3 months, or if you can wait after 4 months or 6 months, you just make sure that your paper naman is of quality. You see? Uh, before you have to comply with the guide to the authors, to those. So, kina-qualify ko lang na if you expect it to be back in 3 months, 4 months, at least you're sure that you sent a paper worth reviewing. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
may request for questions. So let's continue now the queries. So if uh, some of you would like to ask some questions again. You may approach the microphone. Yes.
Yeah. May I ask for your assist, please? We continue with this on the
Yes,
floor now.
continue.
May I just remind that if you will be asking question, please state your name and the institution you are connected. Thank you.
Yes.
I am Father Renato de la Rosa of the Diocese of Verac, representing FPE and the Caritas Verac. First, this is thrown to our dear Maria Sharon Ariola. First, I would like to thank you in advance for unloading us from some works in the parish and in the pastoral works of the diocese and the whole region for doing this research. And I would like only to give some clarity, because I've seen in the whole region to recognize clearly what's the origin of that faith in a person, what it came from, because mostly it came from a product of culture, not of personal assent to what they believe. So it's good to realize that and to include in your paper, because we produce a lot of names or members in the church, but we seldom see real Christians and Catholics or whatever. Thank you, Mom.
I've encountered certain literature about that. As much as I would like to encompass different take-off points in history, anthropology, even in philosophical discussion, I would really like to delve into that. Probably as I go along, I'm not closing the areas or parts of the research naman. I mean, it's not so much of I'm going to focus on this lang and then the rest I will forget. But through the course of getting information and data, I will be open to different stories and narratives. So the method that I'll be using is discussion, personal narratives and stories, so that it won't be compelled to follow a certain discipline. So I just let the interviewees discuss things, and as they bring out ideas, and then I will just put it there and recognize their value, regardless whether the idea about religiosity, about faith, would come from pre-Catholic or pre-colonial belief system. There's no distinction for now. There's no discipline that would anchor their answers. It's more of letting them narrate their experiences. But thank you for the suggestion.
Any other questions, please, before we summarize the presentation? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Leonor Turbulencia of Catanduan State University. This is for you, Sir Jimmy Osagka. Since we are the host of this ASEAN, can you share with us, since from the very beginning of our sessions, we are always talking of these predatory journals, can you share with this ASEAN research symposium, the list of the so-called predatory journals so that the beginners researchers could also ponder where to publish their researchers so that their papers will not put to waste also. And so that our honored speakers could also comment whether this list of predatory journals are really predatory. Okay, thank you.
We have a thick list. We will provide you by Monday through your research coordinators. In fact, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago to decide on how much money we're going to pay for faculty members who published papers in ISI Thomson. We have Shimago listed or other. So we will provide you with that. And there is no office for vice president now. Supposedly, that's the